In this video, we're going to cover groups and sets in Tableau. Groups and sets are features in the metadata layer that help us organize and filter our dimensions. There's a couple of different ways you can create a group. The quickest is just to right-click on any dimension and select Create Group. That will open a menu that will let us select members of that dimension and put them in groups. We can give those groups their own names. You can create multiple groups here in the view. We can also include an other group. That's going to grab any member of the dimension that's ungrouped and put them into an other category. This group is going to live like a dimension in the data pane, and I can use it just like a dimension by putting it in the view or even using it in calculated fields. Another way to create a group is done in the view. I'm going to create a bar chart. And if I sort on sales, I notice some members of my subcategory just don't have a lot of sales. Maybe I don't care so much about them individually. I can select those bars and group them together. I'll edit the alias just to say something like small items. You can tell from our color legend that we do have an other group. I'd like to get rid of that, so I'm going to right click on subcategory group 1 and I'm going to edit the group. I'll deselect include other, and that will allow my other members to appear as they are, ungrouped. The last thing to do is replace subcategory, the original field on rows, with our new group. So I'll use Control and do that. We can do some cool things with groups when it comes to geography as well. I'm going to create a map by double-clicking on my state field and using the lasso tool, I'm going to group some of these states into different regions. I'll grab some of these western states, group them together, and call this my west region. I'll do the same thing with some of these other states and call it a central region. And then I'll do the same thing with my remaining states on the east side. And I'll call that my east region. You'll notice that I have a grouping of my states now, and I can remove state from detail, and we end up with 3 marks. Those are going to be the average latitude and longitude for those states. But if I go to my marks and change that to a map, it will fill in the map for me. Whether created from the data pane or by selecting marks in a view, it's important to note that grouping dimensions is not going to be dynamic. It's going to be static based on how you group them. For dynamic groups, that's where we turn to sets. I'm going to create a new sheet and cover sets now. I'll start by bringing out my customer ID. And next to the customer ID, let's just get an idea of their sales and profit. Maybe looking at my customer base, I want to target some what I would call high value customers. Well, I could do that by creating a set on customer ID. I'll right click on the dimension, go to create and select set. Now, like a group, we could select individual members, but if you click on condition, we could create a condition for this customer ID that requires sales to be, let's say, greater than or equal to $5,000. As I hit OK, we get a new set in our data pane. You can tell it's a set because it has a little Venn diagram as its data type icon. And I can bring that set just like a group out into the view. I could put it next to customer ID. I could use it as a filter and say only show me customers in that group. But let's continue on this path of creating high value customers. You can see by looking at the data that even though some of these customers have spent a lot of money, let's bring that set back out to filters. On some of them, I'm still actually down on profit. I'm not making any profit. So I want to add another condition to make sure that my high value customers are profitable. I'm going to click on customer ID again and go to create. And let's make another set where the condition this time is based on profit. And let's not have it set at 0. Let's even say that I want to have $500 of profit from these customers. I get a second set in the data pane. And one thing that's really cool now that we have two sets is I can select both of them, right click, and create a combined set. I'll call this combined set my high value customers. And in the Venn diagram, I want to select the second option, which is only shared members in both sets. I'll go ahead and hit OK. And I get a third set. I'll use that on my filters. And now I have a list of 187, I guess 87 customers that I could target as my high value clients. I think we need to take a minute and talk about how sets interact with filters. Since we're doing a set on customer ID, that set involves aggregating two measures, a sum of profit and a sum of sales. So what happens if we introduce a filter to this view? I'll bring order date out and I'll select year and only keep one of those years. You'll notice my marks go down. It dropped from 87 down to 80. And then you'll also notice that the numbers don't meet the criteria that we originally set. Some have sales under 5,000, some have profit under 500. What's happening here is that while the members of the set haven't changed, the rows of those members are changing by introducing this order date year. So while the condition may not be met in this particular view, let's pull out one customer here. For this particular customer, they've only purchased $10 worth of items, and I only have $3 worth of profit from them. But if you look at their lifetime spending, they're still within that set. If you wanted to alter the set based on this filter, what you could do is click on that filter and select Add to Context. A set will respect a filter added to context. After I add that order date filter to context, it's as if I'm saying, show me customers with $5,000 worth of sales and $500 worth of profit within the order date year of 2017. There's more options we can use in sets as well. I'm going to go to customer ID again and create another set. We've done a couple in the condition option, but there's also a top option. We could do a top N, so we could do top 10 customers, again by a given field. We could also switch this to bottom though. Maybe I want to focus on customers where I'm losing a lot of money. I could say, show me the worst customers in my data set. I could bring this out as a filter, bring out my customers, and I could see what specific products they're buying. Maybe there's a pattern here that will let me know why I'm losing money with them. I'll bring sales out and profit as well. And scanning the list, you can see there's a couple of problems. that I need to look into further. There's one last way to create a set that I'd like to explore. In our previous example, we created two groups on customer ID, one to look at sales and one to look at profit, and then we created a third group combining those two sets together. We can do that in one set. I'm going to create a set using customer ID. I'll click on condition, and then down here by formula, we can insert a calculation. A calculation would look like this. Sum of sales is greater than 5,000 and sum of profit is greater than 500. This Boolean will return true or false, and for those in the set, it will return true. Going back to sheet 3, taking our date field off, you can see that we have 87 customers. If I replace our current filter, high value customers, with that set 4 we just created, you'll notice the number does not change. We'll use sets and groups in later videos, but this video should give you a baseline understanding on how to use groups and sets in your own workbook.